Hey, Bronze Age nerd. Today let's take a look at a haul from my local comic book shop. All right, so I didn't just go to my local comic book shop today. I actually went to an antique store as well, and I picked up two comics there. I'd been there once before, and they had some older Star Wars comics. It's in an area that I didn't necessarily expect to have people hunting for comics, so I thought there's a chance they could still be there, since those have all started to climb. And I'm talking about the original Marvel run. They didn't have those. They had a whole new section of new stuff compared to what I saw the last time I'd been there, which is cool. It means they're turning their inventory, and I'll get to see new things there, which is nice. This is in no way a key or anything. I just collect these anniversary border comics when I can. This one's not in great shape, to be honest, and I don't really care. It's fine. It's not really something I'm buying to get graded or because I want it in good shape. So yeah, this is Conan the King, number 37. And just basically got it for that border. That's really it. There's not really a lot of those that are big time keys. There's a couple of really minor keys, and yeah, they're just fun to grab every time I see them. This comic is not my first copy of this. This is Alpha Flight 34, the origin of Wolverine's adamantium, I want to say is what this one's considered. It's not an expensive book, really. I think it has a chance it could climb. That one's in kind of rough shape, but these were super cheap, comics that were on a dollar rack. So I grabbed it. So before I went to that antique store, I went to my comic book shop. And this is really what I want to talk about. I grabbed a couple things that were just kind of cool to me. I grabbed Star Wars Blood Ties number 3. Boba Fett's a pretty hot character right now. I was digging through all their Star Wars books looking for some gold. I didn't find any gold in that section, but I did find that. I thought it was cool, so I grabbed it. And that was $3. So another $3 book. This is Lady Death. This is definitely Stephen Hughes artwork. Can't remember which issue number this is. I'd have to... Oh, it's, Lady Death 2 Between Heaven and Hell, 404 from June of 1995. And it's cover price. And I just think it's a classic Stephen Hughes cover. So why not? Then, so real fast, I'll talk about this comic book shop. I have two local comic book shops. One is about 20 minutes north of me, and one is about 40 minutes to the south. Both freeway drives. I live in kind of I live in a small town. And these are not even big cities. These are small cities. So I don't actually have what I would consider to be a true local comic book shop, but they're pretty close. Both of them are, I think dilapidated would be a fair word. They both are owned by one person who's the only person that works there, as far as I know. In this guy's case, I'll talk about this one, and I won't say the name just because I don't want it to sound negative. He primarily focuses on tabletop gaming, and that's on the front half of his store, and that's a lot more well maintained. But he is a comic book guy. He will talk about stuff in his personal collection and what he collects and Silver Surfer books and that kind of stuff from back in the day. So he definitely knows comics, or at least is a comic fan, I should say. But it's rough to browse there. Really picked over back issues, not organized very well. There's some weird gap between his brand new books and his back issues where I don't think they make it into the back issue bins that quickly. So I think he has like some other place he puts those. And at one time I was able to browse for just a random box he had out of those. And I was getting stuff from like 2 years ago, like Venom, 11, kind of in that whole, the Donny Cates run, that whole kind of era. I was able to get stuff like that. And anyways, the point is there's two things about this guy. So his higher dollar books, which were not major keys, he has some on a wall, and we're talking like Why the Last Man 2 is a higher dollar book there. Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos number 50 on this wall. And so I'd say those kind of like his mid-tier books he has. And then he also has a glass case, like a lot of comic book shops do. They have a glass case where he has everything. It's really weird, though. He couldn't even get to most of it. I think he would have to like pull it out from the counter to get to most of it. And that's where like his truly, Silver Age keys are, that kind of stuff. And there's a couple $100 books in there, a couple books that are worth a couple $100. Nothing too crazy, right? So I'm looking in this glass case, I'm looking at this wall, and I notice a couple comics that stick out to me, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a key. I'm pretty sure that's a key. So the first one sticks out to me is Avengers 78. And Avengers 78 is I'm looking off Key Collector, by the way. So their prices are pretty rough estimates. I would say that this is easily a mid-tier book, which, they go by low, mid, high on Key Collector. And they call this a $12 book. It's the first team appearance of Lethal Legion, Grim Reaper, Living Laser, Man-Ape, Power Man, and Swordsman, and the second appearance of M'Baku, which is kind of cool. It's got a little bit of damage at the top, a little bit of a crease through the middle. Would benefit from a press for sure. But he had it for $10, so I bought it for $10. Again, $12 is the mid grade on this book, but I actually see it going for a little bit higher on eBay, like sold auctions recently. When I looked, and I did like a real quick look in the store, like I'm totally that guy. I did that. The next book I saw, and this is in real color damaged condition, so understand that. And it looks like it has some water damage on it. But this is Thor 168. So Thor 168 stuck out to me because of Galactus on it. I was like, wait a minute. Looked up that one and saw that it was the origin of Galactus. It's also the first appearance of Thermal Man, so it's a double key. But it's in rough shape. Like it's in low easily, like probably like a 1.0 or 2.0. So it's in real rough shape. Again, $10. Low value on Key Collector's 30. So I grabbed it. Those weren't the ones that I was super excited about. I was like, all right, the Grim Reaper stuff, I think there's a lot of buzz about Grim Reaper potentially coming to, I think, WandaVision, which seems really weird after watching the first couple episodes of WandaVision. But there's been MCU buzz for Grim Reaper, which I have his first appearance to, and kind of a mid-grade book as well. The next one that caught my eye in the case, so I go and look over at the case, was Uncanny X-Men number 100. And this is probably mid-grade. You got 6-8 spine ticks on it, a small 1/4 inch cover crease, and I haven't opened it up yet and looked at it, to be honest with you. So I mean, there could be a ton of damage on this thing. I don't think so, though. This looks like it's pretty solidly mid-grade. This is the classic battle between the original X-Men and the new X-Men lineup. It's also the first time a fastball special was ever used. In a mid-grade, Key Collector has this at $60. Again, this does go for a little bit more on eBay right now. All four of these books went for a little bit more on eBay when I looked. Real rough and dirty estimates, guys. I'm not trying to say, like, I made the biggest score ever. It's not what I'm saying. So I see that one in the case, and look at the rest of the books in the case, and they're all kind of similar. Like, I'm an X-Men collector. I don't have a copy of X-Men 100, so that's why I went for that one. And that one, like, again, total transparency, I paid $30 for that one. I forgot to mention that. And it's not the price variant or anything. So I paid $30 for that. Supposedly it's for a $60 book in mid-grade. I'm happy about that. That's an issue I wanted. And it's actually in pretty good shape compared to a lot of the stuff I've seen at this guy's shop and other stuff. I've seen it look similar comic shops that are of that vintage, like the mid 70s. But I was telling you, and there's a reason why I was telling you that this guy's shop is kind of disheveled. By the glass case, it keeps going, and there's like random stuff in it. You've probably seen comic book shops like this where there's just random stuff in the case. It's like, why are you using that real estate that's really high profile for this random weird crap that no one's going to care about? But on top of it, he has kind of like a sorting area. I don't know what to call it. And there's just stacks of comics there. And there are some kind of cool comics, and there are a few I might like look up and see if I can get the values on them and stuff like that. Because I wasn't going to sit there and do that for every comic that's sitting there. There were like maybe 100 comics there. And in the stack, I see a comic that I've been wanting to pick up for some time now as a really popular spec book. And that is Fantastic Four Annual number 6. And this is a low-grade copy. Big surprise from this guy's shop, right? But it's important to remember the reason people are going after this book right now. It's the first appearance of Annihilus, who is, the ruler of the Negative Zone, big Fantastic Four villain. With the Fantastic Four coming to the MCU, it's really possible that we'll see him show up at some time. It's also the first appearance of Franklin Richards. So first, Franklin Richards, who's a very powerful, I was going to say he's a mutant, but that's recently been retconned or something, whatever. For most of his history, he's been a mutant. And he's been a mutant that basically has the power to change reality to his desire. It's also, according to Key Collector, the first appearance of the Cosmic Control Rod, which I barely remember the Cosmic Control Rod, so I don't think that's really a big reason for this to be a key. But he had this sitting there, and this is a square-bound book. It's definitely got typical square-bound damage. You're not really going to be able to see it with my current camera setup. I apologize for that. But I would say this is like maybe a 3.5, 4. It's hard to say. I'm not good at grading the difference between a 2 and a 4 and the difference between a 6 and an 8. I'm really not that good at that yet. Well, 6 and an 8 I could do, I guess, but a 4 and a 6 is tougher for me, for example. I'm learning. I'm trying to get better at all this stuff, but I'm still not an expert grader. And of course, most people aren't expert graders, but I'm not really practiced enough at it. It's tough for me to add up, especially in older books, the total amount of damages and say, okay, well, I mean, if it just had this damage, I could probably tell you what it is. It's when you start combining those, and at a certain point, it doesn't affect the grade if those things are both present, because you've already docked it for one thing. And it's just, it's something I still need to get better at. And I know it's true of a lot of people, so I don't feel too guilty admitting that. I don't claim to be like, I can tell you that's a 7.0. Like, I just don't know that. It's actually one of the things that I'm doing on my channel. If you watch some earlier videos, is I'm trying to guess what my grades are on comics I sent to CGC to see what I get back. And so I'm doing photos and predictions of what those comics are going to be. Anyways, all that aside, let's get back to this comic, which I think is probably in that 3 to 4 range. He had this marked at $70. And I went up to him and I'll be honest, I tried to negotiate. I went up to him and I said, hey, I'm picking up. Let me back up. I know this guy does not sell wall books every day. He doesn't sell books from this case every day. I know he's a slow shop, especially for comics. Everyone that comes in there is buying packs of, cards for their tabletop games and that kind of stuff. And he's pre-ordering or ordering, manuals and stuff for people to enjoy that. That's great. For the comic side of things, I don't think he moves much. And so I said, hey, can I work with you on the price on this? He said, I think that's pretty fair for what it's looking for. And it's like, yeah, you're right. That's true. And I'll happily buy it. I'm just picking up several books today. I was wondering, hey, could you knock a little bit off? And he went over and looked up values on it, which I'm surprised. At that point, I thought he was going to raise the price on the book, to be honest with you. He said, no, I think that's fair. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'm just, could you maybe knock $5 off my total? Or I think it's a knock $5 off the Fantastic Four. And so he did. So it's marked at $70. I got it for $65. Let's say it's a low grade book to mid grade. Low is 40, mid is 170. Again, according to Key Collector, I could go do like a GPA analysis or look at Go Collect, but at least with Go Collect, those are definitely graded prices. I think GPA does kind of a combination, I want to say. Point is, I think this was a great value. I'm not going to like go and say this was a steal, but I think I got pretty lucky because I think that there's a premium being placed on a few books right now. I think this is one of them, like almost like an anticipatory speculation spike in price, if that makes any sense. And copies are getting harder to find at a reasonable price for this. And I feel like I got a reasonable price, if not a good price. A lot of it depends on, hey, is it a 3.5 or is it a 4.5 or, is it a 2.0, right? That makes a huge difference. And I totally acknowledge that. And I really wish I had a better video camera setup to show you, the quality, and you guys could be like, oh no, this is definitely a blah, or it's definitely this. There's some issues for sure. But page quality actually doesn't look that bad. I'd love to see what this looks like after I get it pressed, which I'm going to not do myself, but I'm going to have a guy do it. It's in California, so I got to send him off for that. And I'm probably going to have a couple of these pressed. I don't want to damage the book more by trying to show it off, and I don't think you're going to be able to see much. I'm going to try. I might cut this part out if it just doesn't look good, but yeah, it's going to be real tough, guys. Can I even, you can probably see some of the different warping, and creases, corners are not tight, there's significant flaws with the book, but frankly, I don't see that book in very high grade that often. So I'm okay with the condition. It is what it is. I'm okay with owning this copy of it and just kind of hoping that maybe this book skyrockets. And yeah, so, when I'm looking at these books and I'm talking about it, at the time I was like, man, I got some really good deals. Maybe I didn't get as good of deals as I thought. And you're kind of seeing me realize that in real time. But I found books that have potential. I found books that were fun to find while hunting for comics. I'm trying to think of the last really, I found a Spawn 9 at a comic book shop and I was stoked. It's real hard in my area to find like gems or legit silver or bronze keys in the wild that aren't a wall book, that aren't overinflated really. Maybe once you get past like shipping on eBay and that kind of stuff, maybe it's about the same, but they're asking for a lot. And I get it. Comic book shops need to turn a profit, so that's important. But I as a comic hunter, as somebody who wants to go out and find this stuff and be excited that I got it, I don't get that rush as often as I want. I just did a video where I was talking about a mail call I did where I basically ordered some comics from a comic book shop that sells stuff on eBay, and they were stuff that had come out in the last couple months that I just had missed or whatever. And that felt exciting in its own way. It's about getting out there and finding stuff. And finding some, I don't know if you'll know what I mean when I say this, but finding some real ass comics felt good. Finding some comics that they're legit keys. The origin of Galactus, the first Franklin Richards, the first Annihilus. That's pretty cool. So I was excited to find these. I don't know if you guys know that feeling, or you think I'm crazy because I went to a comic shop and found some comics and I bought them and they were a fair price. But sometimes it feels like I can't even find those at a comic book shop in my area. And I think that's just a lot of it, is my area doesn't have a high saturation of that kind of stuff. So it just felt really nice to find these. Anyways, I wanted to thank you guys for watching. Thanks for letting me check out some comics with you. And let me know in the comments, did you think I did a good job finding these comics? Do you think I paid fair prices for them? I think all in all, for a day at a couple little shops, you know, digging through some bins, hunting for Star Wars keys mostly, I think I did pretty decent. And I'm super excited to get at least, especially the Fantastic Four. I'm excited to get that pressed and see what it looks like. I know the square bound books are tough. That's what you hear all the time. And I'm not as experienced with them, but I believe it. And we'll see how good I can do on it. If I think it's good enough, I'll probably send it off to CGC at some point and see what they say. And then we'll really know. But I do appreciate you watching. I just want to remind you, as always, as I do on this channel, hey, read comics every day.